Well, good day, all. Welcome to Alchemy Within from Out Amongst the Stars. I'm Diana, and here today we're going to talk a little bit about how this full moon in Virgo had come up for you. There's been a lot of emotions being um, shaken up, and with the big, ingress of Pluto into Aquarius in January, and then we had a big party in the stacked house of Aquarius, and now things are moving into the Pisces house. So, wherever that is in your chart, if you need help with that, you can contact me below. And yeah, thank you for liking and commenting and subscribing. And we're going to really look at this full moon in the week that follows. We'll go back a little bit to when we had the North Node and Chiron conjunct. That would have brought up a lot of those wounded parts we talked about in another video. And it was a short little interview I had with my daughter, and she's got a Chiron conjunct her ascendant. And coming up into the North Node with Chiron in the sky that we just had in Aries, we're just all being asked to really dig into our most authentic and real self. So we talked a little bit about that and the mask that we wear to feel safe in all of our buried emotions. And I work with that with the emotional empowerment coaching and helping people with processes and exercises to work through that kind of thing. Um, and then, of course, with all of this individuality that really wants to come to the surface with that big party we had in Aquarius. We had 5 planets in Aquarius. Right now, we're down to uh, these 3. Pluto, of course, is there for 20 years, besides our little dip back into Capricorn that'll happen in the fall. And we still have this Mars Venus that did come conjunct last last week too. And looking at our feminine and our masculine, how do we receive, how do we give, all those different parts even within us, not just in our relationships between the masculinity and the femininity. It's that intuition and receiving, as well as the putting the action forward, the drive, and you know the the uh, the, the, the masculine outward energy. So as we move into more Pisces energy with this full moon, we had that real earthy, grounded Virgo in opposition to that. And, we had it. And I mean, that itself is the yin yang. And even prior to that, with the Venus conjunct Mars, that is also, that happened on February 22nd, 2024. That also brings in this tension of that, you know, yin and yang. And it can be really, really important in your dynamics and balance of all the relationships. So it, can do with really like your emotional inner relationships, as well as, romantic ones, and uh, different gender dynamics that you're having in people around you. So, and then going now into that full moon, which of course has the Saturn right close and the Mercury right close. That was at 5 degrees and 23 minutes and happened on the 24th of February at 5:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so you can adjust for your time zone. And a full moon, of course, is that opposition of what's coming to completion, culmination, what your visible outcome and results are you working towards or have been working towards, and is now really, with the brightness of that full moon, being illuminated, and to bring an understanding of whatever greater wisdom or something enlightening or whatever we are ending or expanding. And of course, we had this Jupiter is also within that 5 degrees of sextile and to the sun, and also in trine to the moon. So we want to look at where it is that we are being encouraged to shift and change into a new direction. And you'll look at those areas of your life, like what house your Pisces is in and what house the Virgo moon was in, and then get a better understanding. So in this chart, which it's just for the area that I'm in, it doesn't have any signification besides showing you how the planets are all set up. But say this was your chart and it was in the 3rd house and the 9th house. This is your higher beliefs and religion and foreign cultures and lands and travel and exploration and all of those, moral ethics. And the 3rd house is about the environment that you're in, or connected to all of those relatives that might be, in and around where you live. It also can be even vehicles. It can be the siblings and cousins, and also communication, though very much about, these are both communications. How this is like about broadcasting and publishing. This one's about early childhood development, and also writing, speaking, and anything to do with marketplace and all those sort of neighborhoods, neighbors, and people that are just sort of in your day-to-day life. And now that's just in this chart. So you just have to look at where yours is. I had the access of the 2nd and the 8th, all to do with money and finances, and that has definitely come to the forefront. And my daughter has hers in the 4th and the 10th, her career and home and family, and that was definitely prominent. So we're looking at what needs to shift and change in those areas. And there could be a seed that was planted August 27th, 2022. That was when that new moon was near that same degree point, 4 degrees 4 minutes, and then we had the last quarter moon in Virgo in May of like 2023. That was at 6 degrees and 6 minutes. And so you'll also can even look at the new moon in Virgo from last year in 2023, even though it was at a different degree point, what seeds were planted back then, and what related projects, or it's Virgo. So what health routines, what bad habits, or something that you were connected to, in the themes in and around that very earthy Virgo, which is, details and rational, methodical, the planner, the service oriented, the one that's practical and organizes it, and is, looking to build something that is perfect. That is, kind of can be sometimes the low road of Virgo, is the too much critiquing, too critical, because they want everything perfect. And so it's looking at the emotions connected to your overall health, your overall nutrition, your gut health. It can have a lot to do with your gut biome even, and how that is being looked after, and what foods or sensitivities do you have going on, or what alternative methods can you look at to help your health. And also can be something to do with if you are connected to agricultural in any way, or farms, or your pets or small animals. And has a lot to do with even vets or doctors in a naturopathic way as well, and how the body systems all work together in harmony to keep things moving and flowing, and to kind of really get to that roots of your overall wellness. And so there could have be a lot coming up here that emotionally you are feeling that opposition towards. And so it's a matter of looking at finding ways to get grounded and discerning and logical, and refine your skills. And I mean, Virgo is a Mercury ruled sign, and it's very mutable. And in that opposing energy to the Pisces, that where the sun is really illuminating and having, like Saturn and Mercury, actually right there with the sun opposing the moon, you will feel like this in a very watery, emotional way. Um, so allowing that Mercury in Pisces that kind of often doesn't have the words to explain things. It's a very Mercury in Pisces has the gift for like very sensory and visual things. Things come in images. Things come in and can be more creative and lyrical and artistic. Putting it all together to express in words is a little more challenging. And so Mercury in Pisces likes to work with, that sort of artistic expression, as opposed to whether that be poetry or painting or something, that is um, a little less logical and linear, and something that comes through in a more flowy, lyrical, artistic way. It can bring healing. It's very empathetic, and it has the archetype of, you know, being a little more tolerant, but it also has to watch the boundaries because it is very boundaryless and very fluid, and very introspective and quiet and reflective and dreamy. And however, what can happen is that you can then ruminate on, certain things of these images, of these visions that you want to bring in, and want to bring it into that very logical place of where that moon is in Virgo, and when it's not happening, exactly the way that you want it to, then it can bring in a lot of feelings that are more unfavorable, right? So it's just like taking the time to work through new ideas and get organized, and um, coming up with the words once you be able to communicate them as far as how you want this next phase to go, right? And looking back too, yeah, like reflecting on, when these new moons had, like, what seeds did you plant way back then, and what was in the works already then. So Saturn, of course, is in Pisces and had just gone retrograde and didn't make much movement while it started in there, but it's starting to cruise along now, and it's getting up to that 9 degrees. But in Saturn is it is where we do have boundary. It is where that reality fine line is, um, and going past, like, it's the last visible planet in the sky, so going past that is then all the higher wisdom and the places and spaces of diving into the things that are unseen, right? So with Saturn, it is everything that um, is reality. It's got the boundaries and limitations. It can bring delays. It's chronos. It's time. And so when we are looking at, when it's in Pisces, it's helping us actually reconnect, because I mean, Pisces, of course, is the boundaryless, right? But it's helping us reconnect to all of that inner wisdom, like beyond those five senses, and bringing a little bit more structure to whatever it is that we find in our connection to the oneness and the back and forth, right? Guiding kind of this watery and emotional and sensitive way a little bit more. And of course, with that earthy Virgo moon there, that was hopefully bringing in some more emotionally grounding and practicality, order, It's, organizing and maybe purifying some of the things that haven't been working in our life, like some of those really messy or chaotic kind of like areas that just don't fit in the world around you at this point anymore. Now, what we had to be careful of though is if you found this full moon um, to be really like where you're over analyzing everything and nitpicking and being very critical about other things, and also then offering unsolicited advice to others. Virgo can be overly critical to others as well. So but it's about taking control and implementing new systems and simplifying and bringing some of that clarity into all this watery energy. And um, there's compassion, of course, with the Pisces, and creative. Um, and it also though has lots to do with our mental health. So we really have to allow space and be discerning about how we um, are spending our time, making sure we're not getting caught up too much either in any of the booze or drugs or things that take us out of that reality, that make us want to numb. And because Pisces definitely has a lot to do with that, and Neptune as well. um, Pisces are the maker of poisons, right? And has lots to do with pharmaceuticals and um, spiritual entrepreneurs and artists and photographies and filmmakers are big time part of that, as well as the other arts, and even the flowing kind of um, different energy resources like oil and that kind of thing. So it's really important to listen to your inner knowing and take action on whatever you're hearing from whatever that loving compassionate place in your body is telling you. And we're really energetic beings, and using your breath to like shift some of that energy, using exercise and your breath, and like even just like like letting it all out, right? It's allowing you to sort of connect to that other side, connect to the mystical realm, to the higher mind, to the divine source, God consciousness, goddess, whatever you want to call spirit, um, the higher mind, the one that we get all of our guidance from, that we know that is much bigger than us. And of course, because Mercury is not in the heart of the sun quite yet, it is combust. And so it's getting burnt up in the rays of the sun. So there just might have been a lot of stuff that in mind might have felt like obscured or overlooked or blocked, or things that were forgotten and just temporarily aren't in the light of the sun. And so it might be more difficult with the details to move forward, like a very earthy grounded Virgo wants to, right? So we 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 will be also this Saturn is coming in to show us our responsibilities a little later. It is the taskmaster. It's the one, Saturn's the one that wants us to um, bring some responsibility into the picture too. The knowing, like with this Virgo full moon, that we were just being asked to bring in some balance in between these oppositions. And yes, we want it to be practical, and we want to be efficient, and want things to be um, bringing some order into whatever it is that we need to clean up that may have been just feeling really, really um, discombobulated. And so when we move forward in past this full moon energy, which is really kind of an interesting time that we're going to move forward into. We'll have the Venus in Aquarius square Jupiter. So, the Venus it's our love language, right? And the beauty and it's just been with Pluto, of course, in Aquarius here. And Venus really wants us to look at our self-worth and our value and what we find beautiful and creative. And what new ideas are coming through as it squares Jupiter. So here's our Jupiter. So this is 9 and 10. And there's, you have to be careful though that things don't get too overblown, but it's a square. So there's tension there. And that could feel very challenging. But whatever you are pushing forward towards, do so more gently and just enjoy the things that bring you joy rather than trying to push hard through anything that feels very restrictive at this point. And because we had Saturn and Mercury opposing this full moon, it could have felt that way. So what's really interesting about this week coming up is that we have a lot of void of course. So that is not about starting or pushing through anything. So going into the 26th, so first of all, we have the moon void for 7 hours. And that starts about 7:29 Mountain Standard Time. And then it'll enter into Libra, which is really a nice balancing harmony. It's about the others. And so whatever Monday brings up, just, allow yourself to do things that feel good. Like, don't try to push too hard to do things that feel difficult. Because usually we have, a 2.5 days, but then we have this really interesting Mars in Aquarius squaring. So then, we had the Venus squaring Jupiter. So then the Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter on the 27th at 1:29 a.m. It's, not a Mountain Standard Time, that is. So depending on your time zone. And Mars is usually the one that wants you to start and go and push, and Jupiter, of course, is that optimistic, overabundant, higher, bigger, more, go big, go home kind of energy. And Mars, of course, is that taking courageous action towards something, except for the fact that we are going into this really long void of course. So it's not something where you really want to take action towards a project, because you won't be able to really execute it properly with going into this really long void of course. So if you've been working on something, just continue working on that and use the energy you do have. Of course, our emotions are energy, emotion, and we just feel into your body where it is you feel like doing the work, doing the Mars, taking the action, and rather than starting anything new, and it's not going to stick or start properly. And as we approach on the 27th of February, a very long 33-hour void of course moon from after it leaves that last aspect after Libra, and goes all the way from Tuesday into Wednesday, and doesn't shift into Scorpio until about 8:09 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Wednesday. So essentially that Tuesday into Wednesday is just take it easy, do what you need to do, and allow things to unfold before we hit this February 28th energy, which I had put all the transit planets for the 28th around the outside here. And of course, this was the energy of the 24th of February full moon, which by the time you watch this will be long past, or a little bit past anyways. But when we're going into this 28th, there's this conjunction in Pisces. So we're really then going to have some interesting aspects with all three together. That's unusual. So that'll be a big day because, of course, Saturn going through the heart of the sun is it being reborn into a new synodic cycle. But also the Mercury going in the heart of the sun, that's a cazimi. And cazimi is from the Latin word casamimi, and it means as if in the heart. So in astrology, it's the like this is from the perspective of Earth. So not really physically, but the planet is going through the sun rays, and it's like it's being purified in the heart of the sun. And some astrologers use that 60-degree or 60 minutes of arc or 1 degree, or you can get really specific and use the 16 or 17 minutes of arc. So if you look here, we're at, like 5 degrees. These are the minutes here. So like it's very, very minimal amount of time. But it's usually within a few hours of when that Mercury goes into the heart of the sun that you have that opportunity to make your wishes, make your, bring in the vision. You could get specific downloads and insights and things that come through as well. So write them down and make your wishes. That is the great time for all of those things to come true. So at 1:42 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on the 28th is when this Mercury is conjunct the sun at 9 degrees and 15 minutes. And it's called the cazimi. So it's kind of in the middle of the night. So, you'll wake up in the morning and hopefully if you have any visions or have made wishes before you went to sleep, if you're in this time zone, and any insights, write them down. And then we'll have Mercury conjunct Saturn at 8:07 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so that'll be at 9 degrees and 45 minutes. And Mercury conjunct Saturn, well, Mercury's in its fall there. And so there can be a lot of limitation with communication, and it can feel real melancholy at times as well. But we're, being kind of asked to bring in poetic words and divine source and emotional intelligence or maturity, and wisdom through the words. It could be some reality check with romance or what we're imagining or what we're feeling, like we want to bring into this world. And if things aren't going the way, or there's delays, or there's some sort of limitations, it could feel like you have some emotional suppression or sadness, or there could be just some subtle nuances, and it allows you a time for contemplations and decisions. And that Saturn is cold and dark and detached, but it can be very effective and efficient, and it's also about that maturity and responsibility. And my good friend Ren here that grew up in our hometown, he wrote this very great book for us to access, about all the different conjunctions and transits that happen. And Mercury and Saturn can help people to mentally zero in and focus on their emerging material things. And there, even though there could be some of those feelings, like I mentioned, of the pessimism and thoughts and reflections that come through, can actually be gifts, and very disciplined. And they can be, there can be very careful, thoughtful speech, and also some common sense and realism in whatever that you're being spoke about. So even though there might be some of the perceptions that are, narrowed, or people can be a little more pragmatic or cynical, there is a tendency to then have more clear, practical thoughts and deliberate and measured communication, and patience in the delivery of whatever it is that you're trying to bring through. And it also is well organized lists and outlines and linear thinking and logical thinking and truths and common sense and all the realism. So, there's if you're feeling the melancholy, just know that it's just a passing time, and allow all those intellectual things to come through. So that is uh, that is how we look at our Saturn Pisces conjunction, and but it is a reset, and as that then Saturn goes through that heart of the sun and of the synodic cycle, and so whatever's gone past the its time expiration date, if something's like you're just over it, old news, worn out, things that are just not working in your life anymore, especially in that Pisces house, whatever that house lands in your chart, it is time to move through and allow yourself to get past that boundary of Saturn, past that, gateway into something new and bigger and higher and better, and allow whatever downloads maybe come in through the Kazemi uh, to give you insights into what's next, to move into whatever's next, leaving behind whatever is not working, and allow yourself to go through that gateway past the realism of Saturn and into um, whatever is beyond all of that you can access from information. And even if it feels kind of heavy or weighty or serious, or there's some kind of serious situation that comes up, or consequence that we have to face. Some of the things I was listening to Adam Ellenboss talk about, when the sun and um, Saturn kind of get together, there could be just some real mature decisions that we have to make, or things that are coming up that are a real kind of serious situation to help us grow. And I know exactly how that's evolving in my Pisces house, which is my second house of money. I don't think I need to say anymore. And not, yeah, kind of a situation that has to be dealt with for sure. So the conjunction of that sun moving through with Saturn is like a death and rebirth of that as well. And it may feel hard and difficult because it's Saturn, and our emotions may feel like being very triggered with a lot of either sadness or um, you know grief. There's a release of whatever's deteriorating and leaving, and just have to surrender to what is, right? And so as we transition to all of this new paradigm shift with Pluto and Aquarius, and all the ideas in the Kazemi that we just went through with these three planets all together, it's just really letting us know that whatever's old and outdated is done. And emotionally, it may feel like a lot, but it is time for us to let it go, and let our minds open up to something new and better, and into our reality and the structures of our life, because it is all coming to uh, new places here. And going into our leap year 29th of February, which we don't always have, but we do this year, we're going to have on Thursday at 2:53 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Mercury in Pisces will be sextiling Jupiter. So we'll have this Mercury in that it'll have moved on, and it'll be sextiling Jupiter on the 29th, because Mercury moves quite quickly here. And they'll be at actually 11 degrees in 13 minutes. And then at 7:17 a.m. then Venus. So Venus is here in Aquarius, will be sextiling the North Node. And both of those are like also saying, like, what's the big plans? Where are the details of Mercury in that Pisces? The big, what is it? What is it that we're expanding on with Jupiter there, and the communication and bringing the plans into life, with communicating our nice big plans of whatever it is to do with Jupiter and Taurus. And the North Node involved with our Venus square is what we love and what we value, and where we're being the most enlightened path that will bring us the most joy and creativity and um, all those beautiful things that we want to bring into our life. Whether that be love or a creative project or just whatever it is that we find a lot more value in. And um, we have that North Node taking us to that very fated, destined path. There is something here that is really helping us find who we are authentically, work through the emotions of the old, let go of that, and get on that path of where it is that North Node wants us to go. So that'll wrap up the February, and that's where we'll leave that for now as we shift further into the Pisces party after the Aquarius party's over. And you can look at the videos on that previously. And we'll carry on from there after we move into March, which will be uh, beginning of there'll be an eclipse in March. So that will definitely bring some shift and change. And we'll go from there. So if you want to connect with me, my information is below. I bring in the astrology all the time with the emotional empowerment and working through all of our scale of consciousness, as we all have come into this life with some pains and guilts and shames and fears and grief, and life transitions us through these times, and then we have to work through the emotions so we don't get them held in our body. And we have to keep that energy in motion and not allow those emotions to get stuck in our body, because that's of course what brings in all the illness and conditions and things not working well in our bodies or in our life. So if you want to connect, I will leave my information below. And until next time, I hope you're all well, and we will speak to you then. Thanks for being here, everyone. Bye for now.